Hey, ScouterStan, welcome back to the Heinz 57 series. This series is so that you can catch up on videos that you might have missed. Today we're going to talk about Scout skills. The first of the 3 videos today is on edge. It's definitely on the edge. The EDGE method. Now we all know that that's an acronym for explain, demonstrate, guide, and enable. Very important. EDGE is one of those skills that we teach young people to teach others how to do a skill. As an adult leader, we need to understand in great detail all of the aspects of EDGE. When should a scout learn the EDGE method? I believe that a scout should learn this as soon as they want to learn a scout skill. They should get it explained, demonstrated, guided towards that process, and then enable them. Keeping that in mind, Cub Scouts, Scouts, crew people, you name it, they all can use the EDGE method. Now, pack leaders might resist using the EDGE method for training, mainly because we're dealing with only adults. The parents and the adult leadership run the entire pack. Teaching a skill or teaching skill training to a young person may not work out for younger Cub Scouts. As Cub Scouts go into Webelos, they are starting to learn these new skills, and using that EDGE method, teaching that EDGE method helps. Now, not all leaders are scout facing. I'll put a video up there. Scout facing has a lot to do with the training of the scout. Backstage, this may not come up, but it maybe comes up in boards of review. When backstage people are directly interacting with a scout in a board of review, this could actually be a very critical thing to make sure the scout understands. Now, when we really get into it, the scout leaders tend to go into overboard with explaining. And if they don't explain enough, they start demonstrating right away. So that is a big no. You don't want to do that. You've got to explain the entire skill before you demonstrate. Now, the majority of the time should be focused on guiding the scout doing the skill. Explaining is fine. Demonstrating is fine. Please do that quickly, but spend most of the focus on guiding. The final step, of course, is enabling. That means get out of the way. Okay? You have to let them go. Scouting is a safe place to fail. So if they miss a part of that, they can definitely go back through the EDGE process and learn the skill. You have to enable them to do it. You have to give them the right tools to do the skill, the right rope, the right whatever skill is being focused on. You have to have the materials there. If you teach a scout a knot, how to tie a knot, don't just walk away. You're more than likely to be coming back to teach them that same knot again and again. You have to use the EDGE method. You have to explain how the knot goes together. You need to know all of the knot tying terminology, the technology of what to use it for. That all has to be explained, and you need to know that. You need to be able to demonstrate the knot. And a lot of times you can explain and demonstrate at the same time. When you guide the scout, have them hold the rope, not you. Okay? That's important. Stand behind the scout so that you are using your right hand to guide the scout, you using your words as you explained, and you help them learn where the rope should go. That's it. At that point, you stand back and you enable them to tie the knot again and again and again. That's very important. That is that edge method. That's why it's so important. The edge method is not reserved for just scouts. It can be used to teach life lessons, and it can be taught or used to teach adults. As an example, try this simple recruiting process for your unit. Explain to your adult leaders that you need help. You need adults to step up and start participating, or else your unit is going to fail. Explain that you need adults to sign up and help out tonight. Scouting isn't hard if we all jump in and do something. It's impossible to do scouting without your participation. Now demonstrate by going over to the light switch and flip that switch. In the dark, tell them this is what it's like if we don't get any new leaders. No camping, no scouting events, no scouting adventures, nothing. And worst of all, when the light comes on, your youth is looking at the adults. Now guide them by showing them an already set up laptop on how to do My Scouting and get an account set up for every adult leader so that they can do their youth protection and get the process started. Now, once you've guided them through that process of setting up the myscouting.org account, once you've started that process, you're enabling them by handing them an adult application so that they can do their training, so that they can get their application submitted with their youth protection, and that is how you enable them to move forward. Now, a lot of people might think that that's a little pushy, but honestly, using the edge method with adults works. Most of the time, adults do not participate because they have never been asked. That's terrible. We need to ask every adult to do something. The smallest thing is one less thing someone else has to do. So getting involved, stepping up. This is a dramatic way to make it quite obvious to all adults and the youth to understand how important it is. Edge method can be used for a lot of different things. As you've seen here, it's not hard to do. You don't have to have a huge thing going on. You can easily use edge method through everything in scouting. Now that you know what those letters mean of the edge, that is very important. Now that you know that, you need to use that for your leadership. Now, with all the pandemic stuff going on, you've been doing online training. So let's look at a video about pandemic leader training. I'm getting kind of tired of all these Zoom meetings, but I don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. If you're in a state that's locked down, you can't really do live and in-person meetings. Now, wonderful thing is that I live in Florida. Now, Florida's handled the pandemic differently than the rest of the country. So we're actually going out more. We're doing meetings. We have been since the beginning of the year. So that's something to keep in mind. You have to think about the area you're in, whether or not you can really do anything about what's going on. Now, we've learned a lot of lessons during this time. Pandemic scouting or training, that's the subject today. We have learned that if you're not feeling well, you need to stay home if you're sick, okay? Don't be going to work and making everybody there sick. Don't be going off to the store and making all those people sick. It's important that you maintain your health. That's part of the Scout Oath. That falls into the physically fit, and even in the Scout Law with clean, okay? So that's something to think about. One of the nice things about scouting is that it's all written down. There's no reinventing the wheel. It's okay, you can if you want to, but it's not necessary. Everything is written down. There's training that's done online, okay? That makes it so easy to keep everybody on the same page. Believe me, when you're dealing with training, if you can keep up to date on your training, and it's all done online, and it's free, okay? So do it. Get the training done online. A lot of times, if you're not feeling well, you can just log in, and that way you can still be part of that meeting. So that's something to consider, especially if you're not feeling up, okay? If you're feeling not well, you don't want to go to a meeting and make everybody else compromised, okay? So you want to make sure that you maintain that distance. Now, there is some training that's what we call hands-on, okay? We're not talking hands-on literally. We are talking about demonstrating a technique like CPR or demonstrating a knot and how to tie it. These are things that are physical, okay, that you have to physically see and do to learn that skill. How to operate a multi-fuel stove, okay? These are techniques that adult leaders learn at Introduction to Outdoor Skills, okay? So this is something that they do. And I do have a video that I'm going to put up here, okay, talking about that. But there's a lot of these types of hands-on type of training that's out there. NYLT, wood badge. These are very hands-on types of training. The reason for that is that it is an environment that is specifically designed to teach a specific skill. So that can't be done in a virtual reality or through videos, okay? You can kind of get the idea, but it loses something in that non-physical translation. Now I'm going to put the IOLS leadership skill, Introduction to Leadership Skills. I'm going to put a link down there below that actually takes you to the PDF, the actual syllabus. So if you're an adult leader, please download that. Well, anyone can. There's no secrets at scouting, okay? So whatever you download, that's fine, okay? Use it responsibly, but that information is there to help. See, there's a lot more than you thought to training. And I'll tell you what, doing your online training is very important, whether it's a pandemic or not. Keep that up to date. Now, also, boards of review, they can be done virtually and they can be done in person. So that is a very important job for many scouters throughout. So let's look at a board of review. Want to talk a lot about board of review. Now, if you're a Cub leader, please do not turn off this video, okay? Don't, please, if anyone needs board of review advice, it would be people who are not involved in it so that you get to know more about it. Eventually, When you go from Cub Scouts into a troop, boards of review become big. So don't miss it. Now, when you look at the data, now I'm going to put the guide down there in the description. When you look at that PDF, the guide on advancement, and it's talking about board of reviews, it quite literally says that a board of review must be convened when it's asked for. What that means is that adults can't postpone it. It must be convened. Now, when we say board of review, this is not an inquisition or a trial, okay? A board of review literally means we are going to review the requirements for advancement. Now, a board of review might also be held for other things. Now, this is a lot. Now, I'm going to put a video. I'm going to put it up there, okay? Don't go to it now. Go to it at the end. But that video will talk about the Scoutmasters Conference, okay? That's something that Scoutmasters do for issues. That's something they could do often. A board of review could be, say for instance, there was a problem out at a camp with a scout, okay? That could be a board of review. Finding out more, they're going to review what actually happened and what they're going to be doing. But most, 99% of them that are out there are for rank advancement. Now, a board of review, people that have never been on one, they don't realize a board of review is not a retesting of scout skills. You're not going to be able to hand them a rope and tell them to tie a specific knot. That's not what a board of review should be about. It should be to talk to the scout, to really get to know if the scout is getting the scout program. It is your opportunity to really discover what's going on within the unit so that you can actually help the adult leaders provide what the youth need. Now, on the board, there should be a unit advancement person, usually from the committee. So somebody that you want there, they can report back to the unit's committee meeting and tell them what is going on in that board of review. In addition to that, 2 to 5 more can be added. No more than 6. That's actually policy. The guide will tell you about that. In addition to that, no parents, no relatives, no scoutmasters should be on the board of review. This is something to keep them out of the influencing any of the answers or coaching or any of that stuff. We want the scout to talk for themselves. Now, I'm going to put the guide down below. In that guide, they talk about having the board of review not rigidly structured, rehearsed, okay, unrehearsed if anything, very casual. This seems to help the youth kind of arrive at new and more innovative answers to questions. Spontaneous answers will help you derive some of the characteristics that are being developed by the youth. It'll also help highlight citizenship that's actually being developed. Keeping the questions relevant and live help the youth come up with better answers. So that's important. We don't really want it planned out, okay, or practiced. That's not going to get you the true and honest answers. Now, boards of review are actually required for rank advancement. They have to successfully pass a board of review. The first segment is what I call scout skills. That is your tenderfoot, your scout, tenderfoot, second class, first class. Those are your scout skill parts that you need to really know if the scout skills are sinking in. And it's not just, did they learn the knot? They need to know why. That's what you want to derive at. You want to find out why. Why did they need to know that knot? That's something that the Board of Review does specifically. The last three rank advancements, Star, Life, and Eagle, those ranks, the questions kind of change from the scout skills to more leadership skills. That's where those rank advancement, that's where that comes from. Now, we're going to talk about the Eagle Board of Review. I would say the structure is a little bit different. You still need the unit's advancement person in that Board of Review. A lot of times there will be people from the committee. There could be people from the community that may not even be in scouting, could be part of an Eagle Board of Review. Also, you have your district advancement person in there to kind of represent the district council. So that's kind of the structure of an Eagle Board of Review. In fact, it is very advanced, and I'm gonna put a link up there. Okay, don't go to it now. Do it at the end. But that particular video is actually part 3 of part. It's a part 2 of part 3. I mean, it is the Eagle Board of Review is the absolute top of boards of reviews. So keep that in mind. Now, whenever possible, the boards of review should be done in person. I know that with COVID and with pandemic scouting going on worldwide, we're trapped within the confines of video. So keeping that in mind, that is doable, but you have to follow the guidelines. There are actual guidelines written way before the pandemic. Check that guide out. It will actually define all of the requirements for doing a non-in-person board of review. Now, also keep in mind that if you're going to be doing an Eagle board of review through video conferencing, through Zoom, or any of the services that are out there, that has to be approved. You have to have approval before you have the actual board of review. Now, I know that contradicts the very first part that I talked about, where a board of review must be convened. Yes, but keep in mind it has to be approved. Okay, that is a requirement. It actually is listed in the requirements. You have to pass your Scoutmasters Conference. You have to pass your board of review. These are actually in there. So when you get to that point, yes, you really shouldn't delay. Is as much as possible, you want to do it as fast as possible. What you want to do is do it right. Okay, very critical when we're talking about a board of review for a rank advancement. Super important. Now, here's another thing. Boards of review are best if you keep them to 15 to 30 minutes with the scout. You can have a discussion before and you can have a discussion after, but with the scout in the room in front of the board of review, please expedite your questions quickly, okay? Now, we don't want the scout to answer questions with yes or no's, okay? That's not good. We want the scout to elaborate a lot on the answers. Regardless, after the scout leaves, it is important that the board understands that it's a board of review, okay? That's it. Once they've reviewed and come to a unanimous decision, that's the end of the board, okay? It doesn't continue on forever. It is, the scout is brought back and told of the results. Now, there are two cases where there could be a problem. Say, for instance, it's postponed. It is quite possible, and this has been known to happen, that something happens during the board of review. Power goes out, there's a tornado, an earthquake, there's all kinds of things. So there's reasons for a postponement. And then if there's a disagreement, you can't come to a unanimous decision, that's another reason to have a postponement using the same people that are on the board of review to reconvene the next day or shortly after. Okay, as soon as the earthquake is over and nobody's hurt. Okay, that's a reason to postpone and then come back and finish the board of review. Now, in the absolute rare cases where a lot of questions have come up and there's problems and there's going to be a decline on this, it is critical that you write a letter about it. It has to be in writing, okay? Check the guide. It'll tell you how to do it. When you're disputing a board of review or having a problem with it, you have to submit this to council. So that is the last condition. It's either approved, postponed, or declined. That's rare. I'll tell you right now, it's rare for a decline. So, but it does happen and there's a process. So, again, go to the guide. It'll tell you specifically what to do. I like doing boards of review. It gets me out there and I actually talk to the youth. And what's wonderful about a board of review is that it really puts a spotlight not on the youth, on the leadership. That's what I like about it. I like seeing leaders going out there and dedicating their time to the benefit of Scouts, to our future leaders of this fine, wonderful country. We need them. We need you as adult leaders to keep up that good work. That is amazing. As far as boards of review, that is something that is very important, as you know. So with these Scout skills, any leader can do a lot of really cool things. So keep up that hard work that you do. That is one of those things. You got to keep those skills honed and ready and practiced and trained, and you got to do that. Our youth are benefiting from you. You are the reason that we are in scouting. Without you, we wouldn't have scouting. So please keep up that hard work, and I will see you on the trail.